Hello, welcome back to the Southern Bible Thumper channel. I hope that you're having a good day so far. For this upload, we will be reading Numbers chapter 22. And the children of Israel set forward and pitched in the plains of Moab on this side, Jordan by Jericho. And Balak, the son of Zippor, saw all that Israel had done to the Amorites. And Moab was sore afraid of the people because they were many. And Moab was distressed because of the children of Israel. And Moab said unto the elders of Midian, Now shall this company lick up all that are round about us, as the ox licketh up the grass of the field. And Balak the son of Zippor was king of the Moabites at that time. He sent messengers therefore unto Balaam the son of Peor to Pethor, which is by the river of the land of the children of his people, to call him, saying, Behold, there is a people come out of Egypt. Behold, they cover the face of the earth, and they abide over against me. Come now therefore, I pray thee, curse me this people, for they are too mighty for me. Peradventure I shall prevail, that we may smite them, and that I may drive them out of the land. For I wot that he whom thou blessest is blessed, and he whom thou cursest is cursed. And the elders of Moab and the elders of Midian departed with the rewards of divination in their hands. And they came unto Balaam, and spake unto him the words of Balak. And he said unto them, Lodge here this night, and I will bring you word again, as the Lord shall speak unto me. And the princes of Moab abode with Balaam. And God came unto Balaam, and said, What men are these with thee? And Balaam said unto God, Balak, the son of Zippor, king of Moab, hath sent unto me, saying, Behold, there is a people come out of Egypt, which covereth the face of the earth. Come now, curse me them, peradventure I shall be able to overcome them, and drive them out. And God said unto Balaam, Thou shalt not go with them, thou shalt not curse the people, for they are blessed. And Balaam rose up in the morning, and said unto the princes of Balak, Get you into your land, for the Lord refuseth to give me leave to go with you. And the princes of Moab rose up, and they went unto Balak, and said, Balaam refuseth to come with us. And Balak sent yet again princes, more and more honorable than they. And they came to Balaam, and said to him, Thus saith Balak the son of Zippor, Let nothing, I pray thee, hinder thee from coming unto me. For I will promote thee unto very great honour, and I will do whatsoever thou sayest unto me. Come therefore, I pray thee, curse me this people. And Balaam answered and said unto the servants of Balak, If Balak would give me his house full of silver and gold, I cannot go beyond the word of the Lord my God to do less or more. Now therefore, I pray you, tarry ye also here this night, that I may know what the Lord will say unto me more. And God came unto Balaam at night, and said unto him, If the men come to call thee, rise up and go with them. But yet the word which I shall say unto thee, that shalt thou do. And Balaam rose up in the morning, and saddled his ass, and went with the princes of Moab. And God's anger was kindled because he went. And the angel of the Lord stood in the way for an adversary against him. Now he was riding upon his ass, and his two servants were with him. And the ass saw the angel of the Lord standing in the way, and his sword drawn in his hand. And the ass turned aside out of the way, and went into the field. And Balaam smote the ass to turn her into the way. But the angel of the Lord stood in a path of the vineyards, a wall being on this side, and a wall on that side. And when the ass saw the angel of the Lord, she thrust herself onto the wall, and crushed Balaam's foot against the wall, and he smote her again. And the angel of the Lord went further, and stood in a narrow place, where there was no way to turn either to the right hand or to the left. And when the ass saw the angel of the Lord, she fell down under Balaam, and Balaam's anger was kindled, and he smote the ass with a staff. And the Lord opened the mouth of the ass, and she said unto Balaam, What have I done unto thee, that thou hast smitten me these 3 times? And Balaam said unto the ass, Because thou hast mocked me, I would there were a sword in mine hand, for now would I kill thee. And the ass said unto Balaam, Am not I thine ass, upon which thou hast ridden ever since I was thine unto this day? Was I ever wont to do so unto thee? And he said, Nay. Then the Lord opened the eyes of Balaam, and he saw the angel of the Lord standing in the way, and his sword drawn in his hand, and he bowed his head and fell flat on his face. And the angel of the Lord said unto him, Wherefore hast thou smitten thine ass these 3 times? Behold, I went out to withstand thee, because thy way is perverse before me. And the ass saw me, and turned from me these 3 times. Unless she had turned from me, surely now also I had slain thee, and saved her alive. And Balaam said unto the angel of the Lord, I have sinned, for I knew not that thou stoodest in the way against me. Now therefore, if it displease thee, I will get me back again. And the angel of the Lord said unto Balaam, Go with the men, but only the word that I shall speak unto thee that thou shalt speak. So Balaam went with the princes of Balak. And when Balak heard that Balaam was come, he went out to meet him unto a city of Moab, which is in the border of Arnon, which is in the utmost coast. And Balak said unto Balaam, Did I not earnestly send unto thee to call thee? Wherefore camest thou not unto me? Am I not able indeed to promote thee to honor? And Balaam said unto Balak, Lo, I am come unto thee. Have I now any power at all to say anything? The word that God putteth in my mouth, that shall I speak. And Balaam went with Balak, and they came unto Kirjathhuzoth. And Balak offered oxen and sheep, and sent to Balaam, and to the princes that were with him. And it came to pass on the morrow that Balak took Balaam, and brought him up into the high places of Baal, that thence he might see the utmost part of the people. Summarizing Numbers chapter 22. In order to provide a foundation, we do need to recap what happened in 21. So, at the end of chapter 21, the Israelites find themselves in an impossible situation. They send messengers to ask King Sihon of the Amorite kingdom if they could get permission to travel through their territory. This was the custom, and the Israelites did everything appropriately. King Sihon, however, is an irrational king, and he wages war on the Israelites as a response. So the Israelites have no choice but to annihilate them, which they did. The end. That concludes chapter 21. Now we're in chapter 22. After annihilating the Amorites, the Israelites moved to camp in the plains of Moab. And so now the Moabite kingdom is really close. And when we see verse 3, Moab was in dread and overcome with fear. Well, that's because they knew the history of Israel and how they came out of Egypt, but they also knew about the Amorite kingdom, and they watched the Israelites destroy them. So after all this carnage, now the Israelites are very close to them, and they're wondering if they're next. Concerned about the well-being of the kingdom, King Balak sends messengers to King Baalam asking if he would come there and curse the Israelites. He acknowledges that King Baalam has some spiritual gifts, saying that whatever you curse is cursed, or whoever you curse is cursed, and whoever you bless is blessed. So the messengers arrive, and Balaam tells them, Stay the night, let me talk to God. God asks Balaam who these men are, and King Balaam tells him about King Balak's request. So then God says, I don't want you to go, and I don't want you to curse them. He tells the messengers go back home and tell King Balak. King Balak does not take the information well, and he decides, let me get some more dignified, clouded up dignitaries to ask again and to persuade him to complete this request. When they arrive at King Baalam again, King Balaam tells them, hey, stay the night. I'm going to talk to God, and then I'll let you know what I'm going to do. When he talks to God this time, God says, you can go, but say only what I want you to say. King Balaam packs his donkey, who is a female, by the way, the gender is mentioned in this chapter. He travels with his donkey and his 2 servants, and he begins to make the trek to Moab. But in verse 22, God becomes angry, or his anger is kindled at Balaam, and he sends an angel to inconvenience him. Only the donkey can see the angel and tries to avoid the angel, which irritates Balaam, and she hits his foot against the wall one time. Every time she tries to avoid the angel, which is 3 times, Balaam is beating her mercilessly. The third time, God empowers the donkey to talk, and the donkey asks, "Why are you beating me?" The king responds to her and says, "You've made a fool of me. If I had my sword, I would kill you right now." God opens his eyes so that he can see the angel. And the angel tells him or asks him, "Why are you beating on this donkey? God sent me to inconvenience you. And if you would have kept going, I was going to kill you and let her live." So, overcome with remorse, uh, Balaam asks the angel, he tells the angel, "I'm sorry, I've sinned. Do you want me to continue?" And the angel says, "You can go, but say only what I said." And so King Balaam continues the journey. And when he reaches Moab, King Balak uh, doesn't even seem concerned about his travels or talking to him. He just goes in on him and, "Hey, why didn't you come the first time I sent you? You don't think I'm good for it? Why didn't you come? Why didn't you come? Why didn't you come?" And so King Balaam has to say, "Hey, can I get a word in edgewise? Okay? I'm here now, but I can only say what God tells me to say." So after that, they travel to another city, and then Balak made sacrifices. This is let me see. Okay, verse 40. So it says Balak sacrificed oxen and sheep, and it seems like he's sharing it with Balaam. They're eating together, or it says he sent some to Balaam. Not quite sure if maybe they didn't camp together, but that's what it says. Then we look at verse 41, and Balak took Balaam to another vantage point to watch and spy on the Israelites. Highlights. When we look at verse 1, Moab is referred to as a location. But then when we look at verse 3 and 4, Moab is referred to or referring to the people in the kingdom that occupy that territory. So we will see this, how people are addressed, how groups of people are addressed. Sometimes it comes from the city, sometimes it comes from a family lineage like the Israelites. Remember, in the book of Genesis, Israel was Jacob, and he had a name change. And I was saying in those videos, Jacob slash Israel, because the Bible was using his name interchangeably. So that's how we have Israel. Israel is the lineage of Jacob. And it's a group of people that have multiplied. But he had 12 sons before he died. And then I wanted to just quickly go over verse 4, because this is something that I would consider a slight discrepancy or a slight difference in information. Verse 4 is about who is voicing the concern about Israel being too close to Moab. Remember, Moab is filled with fear because of what they just saw the Israelites do and all the carnage. So now all these people who have the capacity to do that kind of damage are right next to us. What are we going to do? Someone had to voice that concern. And so when we look here at most of the translations, the people are saying this to the elders. The people. But when we look at the New Living Translation, the king of Moab was the one voicing the concern. So when I encounter something like this, also when we look at the King James and the New King James, that's saying the same thing. I also don't really understand why the New King James Version has to exist, because I don't think they're saying that much different. There's not that much difference in that version from the regular King James, but that's just my opinion. God did not tell me to say that. That is completely from me. So do with that information what you will. But as you see, every other translation is saying the people were making the complaint. The New Living Translation says that the king was making the complaint, though. For me, it is enough to have these other translations all matching up, but one not. But sometimes I am curious and I want to know more. I will go to the Interlinear Bible, and the Interlinear Bible is on BibleHub.com. This is the direct translation from the most original version of the Bible. We know the first version of the Bible was written in Hebrew, and the reason why I'm using air quotes is because I am very aware, even though I am a staunch Christian, that the Bible has been revised multiple times. So, and translated multiple times. And I do understand that some things are, you have to understand that when you're reading this. So, not only is it antiquated, but it has been documented. It has been revised and changed, and over and over again, translated over and over again. So, um, when we're trying to think about who's voicing the concern, I know that this is Hebrew. You have to read from right to left. You get here to verse 4. Also, the numbering for the verses are different. So, verse 4. So said Moab to the elders of Midian. So even the Interlinear Bible is agreeing with the majority of these translations that the people were the ones who made the complaint. The reason why this is something that I just wanted to demonstrate is because I want to demonstrate how I'm using these sources. I also want to demonstrate or highlight that these critical thinking skills, the ability to integrate information and pull results out of the information that you read is imperative as a Christian. This is a very long book, and this helps if you don't find that you have discernment immediately on some things. Critical thinking is another tool to rely on. And as a Christian, for me, I want to have both discernment and critical thinking. I want to be able to hear God and have a conviction in my heart for everything. But I also want to be able to, there's times where I feel like I don't get an answer right away. But I want to be able to think critically. If I go to certain things with other Christians, I want to be able to not just hear the word Christian and let all of my defenses down, not think about what I'm seeing. That's how you get hurt. Just because anyone has a title or anyone is doing a thing does not mean they're anything less than human. We are all capable of being fallible. And we've all been the bad guy at some point. So it's just something that I want to highlight. Think critically, especially if you are a female, because some of these, this world can be a lot more, the female will suffer a lot more consequences if we're not thinking critically. That is my opinion as a female. So that is highly, highly important. Okay, so the next highlight, because I've wrote a lot of things that I don't like now that I'm here. Verse 9. God asked Balaam who Balak's messengers were. And this stood out to me because I grew up believing that God was all seeing, all knowing. He knows every thought that you have, He knows your heart. But I never had anybody point out in the Bible where it says that, these scriptures, which is another reason why I don't want to get into that. But there's so many things that I've been taught that are just traditions that sound good. And when you go and try to find it in the Bible, it's either unclear or it's not specifically stated. So this is one thing that I'm confronted with. Because why would God need to question His creation if you already knew? When we look at Genesis chapter 3, verses 9 and verse 11, God asked Adam where he was, and then asked Adam, who told you were naked? Did you eat from the tree of good and evil? If God already knows this, what is the benefit of asking? So I also want to put out there that if when I read the entire Bible, if I find out that God is not all knowing, that does not in the slightest discredit God as a creator. It does not discredit his status, his ability. It doesn't discredit anything about God. If I grew up believing something that somebody told them, that somebody told me, and somebody told them, and somebody told them, and none of us read the Bible all the way through to see it, that's not God's fault. So if I read this Bible and find out he doesn't know my thoughts, and that's why he has asked me questions, that is not on God, because God never said he was. We just believed it. So I just want to point that out because I might read the whole thing and see that God does know our thoughts. But that's something that stuck out to me, and I just wanted to mention that. Also, the next point, the ungodly tends to see spirituality and spiritual gifts as tools instead of them holding the type of value that they hold to people who are spiritual. Remember, he asked Balaam if he could come curse the Israelites and sent divination fees as if this is a service. Hey, I know who you bless is blessed and who you curse is cursed. Can you come bring that over here and curse these people? And he uses money. He's trying to get, he says, I'll do whatever you want me to do. I can honor you greatly. He sends his super dignified officials. It's almost like he doesn't even really believe in these spiritual gifts, and he's willing to use his earthly means to produce a kind of outcome that you need a spiritual gift to produce. And that is a pattern with the ungodly, using their status, using the money. And there's nothing wrong with using the earthly goods to do what you need to do on earth. But I'm just saying, when it comes to spirituality, to the ungodly, it's just like another tool. So, and personally, this isn't in the Bible. I want to be able to denote that as well. But that's because that's how the ungodly think of spiritual gifts. I personally believe that same pattern also follows into creativity. It falls into art. If you only think of these gifts from God as tools, you're just going to use it like another tool. It's creativity isn't going to mean anything because it's just another tool to get some money. So I believe that's where everything about being human, when we trivialize it, it diminishes in value. All right. What's the next thing? So the next thing, this is the second time an animal speaks, and this guy's acting like it's just normal. Verse verse 20 through 22, this chapter is such a good example. If you're an atheist, and the reason why I'm mentioning this is because as a Christian, I find myself in situations where I don't have to defend myself, because if God doesn't defend himself, why do you feel like you have to defend God? All right, if I'm a Christian and you don't like that, that's just your problem. I don't have to make God look more attractive to other people. That's not my responsibility. Other than living my life and demonstrating as a human being. Beyond that, I don't have to do that for other people. Either you want to hear about God or not. And if you don't, I can keep it moving. You don't just badger people about God. That makes you look worse, actually. But this is pure atheist fuel, because think about it. God just told Balaam, you can go, but only say what I say. And then when he goes, then God sends an angel because he's angry with him for leaving. So if you're an atheist, wouldn't that be the reason why I'm bringing this up is because like the largest response, or the largest like critique about Christianity is that, oh, there's so many discrepancies. There's so many discrepancies in the Bible. There's so many contradictions, but then they can never pull out one because usually they didn't read the Bible either. And you're just repeating a discrepancy that somebody else said. And that's just what when I read that, I was like, God just said it was okay for you to go, and then he got mad. Like, if you're an atheist, this would be the perfect thing to point out. Like, if you're going to talk about a contradiction. All right. I don't feel as good about that as I did writing it down, but I am not taking it out. And then, yeah, I did want to go over that. So Balaam was in a rage. He was in such a rage just because the animal did not behave the way he wanted. Remember, when the messengers came both times, he was so godly. Oh, let me ask God. I'm not even going to give you an answer until I talk to God. He was so extra godly. I mean, so godly. He had to know. But then when it's time to go, he experiences one small inconvenience and he's so angry that when the donkey starts talking to him, it doesn't even click. You know what? I've never had this donkey talk to me before. The whole time I've had it, this is the second time in the Bible an animal is talked. And it kind of makes sense with Eve that she didn't question it because, they're like the new people on earth. That makes a little bit more sense that she didn't question it. But at this point, it's been hundreds and hundreds of years, and you've had this animal for a while. Why did this animal not talk to you until just now when you were beating on her? And then he's so angry, he doesn't even stop to question why is this animal talking to me? He doesn't go to God and say, God, why is this animal acting like this? He doesn't even ask God, why is this animal talking to me? He's so angry at the animal for inconveniencing him slightly, for hitting his foot on the wall, that he told the donkey he would kill it if he had a sword. God had to reveal to him that an angel was there because he could not see the angel. So that's why that insinuates that his spirit, his attitude, his demeanor, his temperament was so messed up. That's what got God mad. That's what made God want to inconvenience him because he didn't have the right attitude. Because if you're so angry that if an animal talks to you, you're just having a conversation and then you're going to tell this talking animal you're going to kill it, that says something about your mindset, and it says something about that. You didn't even pause for a second until you saw that angel, and the angel said, I would have killed you if you kept going. Says something. It says a lot. So he had two servants with them, and nobody could reach this man but God, as you can see, or an angel. God had to interfere to make this man change that temperament. Because remember, he's a king. And even though he had two servants with them, because he's the leader, it's kind of like having a manager, they're not going to tell him the truth. They're just going to let him be a horrible person forever because, they don't want to get in trouble with the leader. They don't want to get in trouble with their manager. So just let him be horrible and a horrible person to be around. So, God had to use that to get his attention. He was too quick to violence. Uh, so those are all the highlights. That is Numbers chapter 22. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next upload.